truly believe in the Magic.
What's up, Magic fans? I'm Mikey, and welcome to another episode of Penny for Your Thoughts, the Orlando Magic UK podcast. Today is Thursday, the 18th of November, 2021. Before I jump into today's episode, if there are any New York Knicks fans watching this episode, bing bong! Bing bong! Gee, that didn't work, mate. That was so bad.
No.
There you go.
No. Yeah, there we
I was
go.
waiting for you to do the old jiggly face.
Oh, mate, no. That'd be embarrassing. I'm not like those Knicks fans. And you said to me you'd do it as well, so I knew you wouldn't do it.
I know, I was just trying to stitch you up, but there we go. Good stuff. So I was going to say, as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, but the last few weeks we've had people missing. So we've had Gary filling in, but this week we are rejoined by Geraint. How are you, pal?
Very good, thank you, mate. Especially after last night's performance. And having a smile on your face all day is always a good thing.
And we'll get to ref rant later in the episode. So you got 2 weeks worth to catch up with this week. And Paul, are you feeling better, mate?
All good, mate. All good. Thank you very much. Yes, vaccine booster left me a little bit low, but yeah, all good now, mate. Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice to have you back, G.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I've got, just for those who saw where we were referring to him as Cardiff Kuzma and things like that, G would like us to actually go with Cymru Kel.
Yeah, or Cole. Kel or Cole's fine. But I think you jinxed it last week. I think Kuzma went off on us because of you saying that. So that's on you, Paul.
Not be the first time that I've got something to be blamed for.
Never mind.
No, I enjoyed the episode. Well done, boys.
Okay. And moving on to our special guest this week, we got a friend and Magic fan, Luke Jalil, who's actually one of our own. If you're on Twitter and you're a Magic fan, if you're not following Luke, then you should be, because you like a deep dive, Luke, don't you? You like diving into stats.
Yeah, I do love stats. It's probably one of the few people that do.
Well, thank you for joining us, mate. Really appreciate you giving us the time. So we're going to start off because you're a UK Magic fan living in Orlando and you go to Magic games. So tell us about your Magic fandom. How did all that come about?
Basically, when I moved to Orlando, I lived in downtown Orlando. So the stadium was a 5-minute walk from it. So I just started going to games once I got here. Before I came to America, I'd not watched any basketball whatsoever. And then once I moved here, I was like, well, I need something to do. Just started going to all the games, and now just season ticket holder ever since. So
when did you move out there, Luke?
2012.
Oh, so you've had some bad basketball to watch as well.
Yeah, not really seen much success. Basically, I came here and then they started being terrible.
The guy's got these. That's the same for me, isn't it? That's the year. That's where I became a Magic fan. I started watching basketball around 2011 and I became a Magic fan 2012, 2013 time. So we have the same journey, my friend.
And you two,
we've only known rebuilding and losses.
It seems a bit more promising this time, though. I've got more hope this time with the core than previously.
Absolutely. And you guys are from the similar neck of the woods, because is it Keighley you're originally from, Luke?
Keighley, yeah.
Keighley, yeah.
Keighley. A
few miles north.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to admit being from Keighley, though. It's not really something to be proud of.
And are you a Leeds fan like Paul there, Luke?
No, I am not. I'm a Manchester United fan because
that's all right, mate. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Head blown.
Should we end it there then?
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. United fans, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the bottom row here at the moment, isn't it?
It's all right. I've got the bragging rights after we beat you 5-0 a few weeks back. So do you keep up to date with all the football and stuff? Living in Orlando.
Yeah. Honestly, it's fantastic because I can watch all the games. Like there's no blackout here, so every single game is on. I wake up, I watch them in the morning, and I've still got the rest of the day to do stuff. Like by the time the 3 p.m. games have ended. Over here, it's like noon. So it works out pretty well.
Excellent. Good stuff. Okay, right. So we'll move on to, we'll just quickly recap the Jalen Suggs jersey giveaway. Mate, I've got it right. I can see Paul laughing there.
You just struck. You have to concentrate so hard on it every week. It's brilliant, mate.
Honestly, when I got that up a few weeks ago, it just rolled off the tongue. I didn't even have to concentrate, but there we go. Never mind. So our friends from the NBA Store Europe and Fanatics are giving away a Jalen Suggs jersey to one lucky winner. All you need to do is 2 things: subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave a comment on our episode looking at the 21-22 season schedule, just telling us which Magic player you're most looking forward to seeing the most this season, even though we're now 15 games into it. When we hit 350 followers on the channel, we will do a prize giveaway for that jersey. I think we're on 337, so we're literally like 13 subscribers away. So as soon as we hit that number, hopefully on next week's episode, if we can hit it by then, we'll do the draw next week, if not very soon. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you are. Okay, so a bit of Magic news before we move on and talk about this week's games. First thing we want to talk about, we're a little bit behind because it's already been heavily discussed on other podcasts and on Twitter and places like that this week, is the return of the Orlando Magic theme song. So, Luke, I'm guessing you were in the arena for that the other day.
I actually wasn't for that game.
Oh, okay.
A few games I haven't been to, so no, I wasn't there.
Oh, mate, you missed out, eh? What do you think? What do you think about the song?
No, it's great. We should play it every game, every single game.
Yeah.
Play that song.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, mate, Mikey, kudos for you on our podcast intro rather. Putting that on there. I jump on everybody else.
I know. I stumbled across ages ago, and then when I thought, we need a proper YouTube intro or a little video, I was like, what could we throw it back? What sort of like little hint could we throw it back to, like the OG days? So yeah, and I was watching. Is it Merlin the Wizard? I think his name was, or Marvin Merlin. I think Marvin the Wizard. Marvin.
So he's a Martian, mate.
Yeah, that's right. That's good. Hey, that's got you, hasn't it? I didn't think it was that funny, but there we go.
God,
but
the famous wizard Marvin.
Is this going to be in the blooper reel again? No chance.
I think so.
Oh, Mikey, every week you help me out. You're starting to make me look good.
I make you feel better about yourself, don't I? Hey?
Honestly, pal.
Yeah, no, the song is a classic. It seems to divide a few people, but I think the majority are a fan of it. What do you guys think?
I think it's brilliant. I mean, I've got the Orlando Magic CD from in the 90s, and it's on there, track number 25 by Getting Productions. Yeah, I love it. You know, how can you have songs with, you know, Slam Dunk Sesame? It's brilliant. And you mentioned the Wizard, Merlin the Wizard. And I don't know if you listened to the Six Man Show this week. Jonathan did a very, very good impression of him. Be interesting to see what Luke does. But if we to bring him back, maybe you could have Jonathan Osborne as the Wizard at
as
the Magic King. How cool would that be?
Yeah. I think it's great. I think it's great that we've done that. Look, yes, it can. It's probably very cheesy, but you know what? It's a bit of entertainment at the start of the game. Listening to how it went off in the arena, it was massively well received. I think it's the sort of thing they should bring back. You know, we look at it here. You've got at Ellen Road, they still play the 70s marching on together. At Liverpool, you've got You'll Never Walk Alone. I'm not sure about what Man United's got.
We've got Men of Harlech at Cardiff.
Yeah. So all those sorts of
song in
it's good to have. It's good to have those things that signify it's 2-3 minutes from the start of things. It builds the atmosphere. I love it. I think we should keep it. Bring it back.
United have got a new one, haven't they? Ollie's at the wheel. That's a new song that's going to be taken off.
Yeah, probably not for too long.
But we won't go into Man United. We won't go into that. But no,
what I don't think we need to bring back, mate, is the dance routine and whatever that we had that was shown, the video of him, of the performance on the court and all the dancing there. That's probably not needed, but just play the song. It's cracking. Love it.
I don't know. It's better than some of the entertainment we see in between quarters and a half time.
That guy with a tennis racket.
Yeah, well, the guy.
Who signed off on that? That was abysmal. In fact, that was my cue to say, no, I'm going to bed.
And I like dogs, but the topless guy with the chihuahua, I mean, come on. Was that just me? Or do you guys enjoy that?
Who else is there?
Don't answer that.
They've got the lady on the unicycle as well, haven't they? With the plate.
Is that Red Panda?
Red Panda, that's it. She's always there.
Yeah.
What are you going to say, Luke?
I didn't think you guys would get all the halftime shows. I didn't realise you got them. Is it always shown on NBA TV? Or
when you're watching live on League Pass, then you get all the halftime stuff, and you used to get more of the timeout stuff. At the moment, they're showing a lot of videos, but you're starting to get more and more of the timeout stuff again as well. I personally love that because it gives you that feeling of being back in the arena, and I miss that. I really miss being in the arena.
I tell you what I noticed, guys. Last couple of games, Dante's reports, we're not getting them.
Yeah.
No,
I don't like that.
You do live, I think, but you're not getting them on the edited side of things. So if you're not watching live, you're not getting the Dante's audio.
Full experience.
Yeah.
I don't think the guys are travelling to road games this year. I think they're only there at home games. So maybe you just, anytime we're on the road, you're not getting it, maybe?
He's done a couple.
Yeah.
He's definitely done a few. I don't know.
But yeah, it was nice. It was nice to get another post-game interview this time as well. Jalen this time around.
An explicit one. Should we leave it at that?
Any post-game interview, they need to cut the mic on our guys.
We do.
He did apologise before saying it, though, didn't he? He did apologise.
That's what I loved about it. He just went, "Excuse my language," and then bang, full on. And you went back to David, and he's like, "Okay."
Jeff trying to hold it together.
Yeah, good. Quality.
Absolutely love it. Well, we'll talk about that very shortly. So heading into this week, in terms of updates, obviously we saw the return of Jalen Suggs last night against the Knicks. And there's, as far as I'm concerned, no update at the moment on Fultz, Isaac, MCW or Etor Moore. So they are currently all listed as out. So the Magic started the week off with a home game against the Brooklyn Nets. Really is a rough night for the Magic, who had no answer for James Harden and Kevin Durant. Orlando struggled offensively, especially beyond the arc. I think they shot 12%, which is the first time in Magic history that they've shot below 13 on at least 30 attempts. So it was a horrendous night shooting the three. The Nets extended a 12-point halftime lead with a 19-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and they held the Magic to just 15 points over the last 12 minutes. So the Magic went on to lose that one, 123-90. Guys, any quick thoughts on the next game? I'll start, Luke.
I mean, Kevin Durant was unstoppable that game. He didn't miss all game. Like, what can you do? You can't defend that guy. So it's obviously we needed to shoot better, but when he's going off like that, there's not really much you can do.
No.
I can't remember who it was who I saw tweet out that I'm sat in the arena and watching these shots that Kevin Durant is putting in, and they are so on the point. You cannot describe how accurate his shooting is. And he was being really well defended as well. It wasn't a case that we weren't defending him well. He was just on fire.
Yeah.
For me, the shoot in the second half, I can't remember how many points we scored. It was probably 30 points between the two final frames. Only standouts, Franz Wagner, 10 points quietly, 7 rebounds with 6 steals. So showing his defensive prowess there. Wendell Carter only scored 9 points and 5 rebounds, but he only played 18 minutes. So that was a little bit strange. He didn't have foul trouble. And I've been really impressed with Wendell, especially last couple of games. I think we made the point he needs to be a bit more aggressive going to the hoop. And I feel like we've seen that in the last 2 weeks. So, long may that continue. But he shoot 38% against that Nets team. And, it's not going to end well, is it?
No. Do you think some of it is maybe where, looking at Brooklyn's numbers, I mean, Blake Griffin only played 18 minutes in that game. So maybe I don't remember that far back, but maybe he was mirroring Blake's minutes a little bit. I'm not quite sure, but yeah. But Wendell's had a good... He's had a good night, wasn't it? No, it was bad. So moving on. So we then finished the 5-game homestand at home to the Wizards. Orlando posted just 37 first half points, playing catch up for most of the night. The Wizards took a 22-point lead heading into the fourth quarter as the Magic continued to struggle offensively. For the 4th time in the last 5 games, the Magic shot below 40% from the field. And when they're doing that, they're going to struggle, aren't they? So the Magic lost that game 104-92. So guys, quick thoughts on that one as well, Paul?
I think the night was summed up by Jalen Suggs limping off, in all honesty. It was one of those that was, you start out watching it and you're hopeful and you think this is going to go somewhere. And by the time you get into halftime, are you really watching this? It's on in the background. But mate, Cole, again, 22 points, Wendell, 17. Mo got what is almost becoming an obligatory double-double with 14 points and 17 rebounds, 3 blocks. So, yeah. And you know what? When Suggs went off, I also thought that RJ played quite well. RJ Hampton played well to cover for Suggs' absence. I thought he picked up well in that fourth quarter. So it's what it is.
Yeah. Gee, you said on the last episode you were on, you asked us the question about, are the Magic taking too many threes? Did you feel that was a point against the Wizards?
Maybe they took 40 against the Wizards and they shot 32.5%. So it's not where we want to be. And looking at the 4 games between since the last episode, they shot 38 against the Knicks, 43 against the Hawks, 40 against the Wizards, and 33 against the Nets. And the highest percentage they shot there is 37%. So they're taking the volumes there. If they're the right shots, you live by the 3, you die by the 3, essentially. And we're not shooting the ball well enough from downtown. So either, we need to be having paint touches and kicking out and swinging the ball around a bit more, getting better looks. The guys just need to shoot the ball better. And having Markelle in there, who is a great distributor, get the defense to collapse, I think we'll get better looks. So if that's the way Coach Mosley wants to play, then so be it. You'll see the games that we've won, we've hit the threes. The games we've lost, we've not succeeded, have we? But that game, Bradley Beal out, you think, oh, okay. But they've got a lot of depth that you probably don't rate, that highly. But you come to watch them play. Montrezl Harrell had his way with Mo Bamba, his physicality. That person we do not name, starting with a K, shot the ball well. But anyone can win the lottery. So typical had to happen against us. So no, in fairness, Kuzma played well. But they were the better team, and we couldn't get it done offensively.
Are they starting too well, G? The Wizards. Sorry, Luke. Because before the season, you were before the season, you were like, oh no, the Wizards aren't all that. And me and Paul were like, no, they've got some depth and they're top of the East at the moment.
Yeah, they do have depth, and they're playing good basketball. So kudos to them.
I think they're one of them teams. I think they're one of them teams again that we've seen it before. You look back at some of the potentially some of the Spurs sides of the past, where you've got one or two star players, but the rest is people who you wouldn't necessarily call a top player. But but those parts come together and form something far more than the individual. And I think that's what we're seeing at the moment with Washington's play.
You said it in the group chat the other day, Paul. You said Kuzma's actually out of LeBron's shadow.
Yeah.
And he's getting shots up. He's getting a lot more playing time, a lot more responsibility. And he's actually showing what he can do. And Wes Unseld Jr. is doing a fantastic job there, in fairness. So, yeah, let's hope it doesn't continue.
Yeah. What did you see from the Wizards game, Luke?
I mean, the Wizards have one of the best defenses in the league, so we're always going to struggle. They're sneakily good, probably not so sneakily now. They're the top of the standings, but yeah, they're a lot better team than I thought they would be. It's just crazy that some of the guys that they have playing really well couldn't really get minutes elsewhere. Montrezl Harrell wasn't. He was in the running for sixth man of the year, went to the Lakers, did nothing. And now he's back to beasting again. I mean, him against Bamba, that is probably Bamba's worst matchup in the league. There's nothing he can do against a guy that's that strong. And Wendell Carter Jr., he got into early foul trouble. So that caused Bamba having to play more minutes against Harrell. Spencer Dinwiddie, he's been fantastic for them, and I don't know how the Nets couldn't use him. He got injured and they just let him go. It's like they could use him now with Kyrie not playing.
Absolutely,
and let him walk.
Yeah,
but you think about the Lakers as well. How much they traded for Russell Westbrook, and what's Russ actually doing there? They'd be better off had kept Harrell and Kuzma and who else is there? The shooting guard,
Caldwell Pope.
That's the one, yeah. So there we go.
What were you looking? What do you think the Magic's biggest problem is, Luke? Like I said, that Wizards game is the fourth time in 5 games that the Magic shot below 40%. What do you think that's mainly down to? Do you think it's just because we're young, or?
It's partly because we're young. I mean, rookie players are always going to be inconsistent. That's what happens. Especially rookie guards. They have the hardest coming into the league.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're thrusting Suggs into that role, I mean, he went off injured against the Wizards, right? So he didn't play the full game, but he's been asked to do far too much. So of course he's going to struggle. I think once we get Fultz back, we're going to be much improved because we're really missing a playmaking guard. Suggs has struggled with his handle. Cole Anthony's more of a score-first guard. RJ Hampton's not really getting the minutes, but he's more of a combo guard rather than a playmaking guard. I mean, some of his passes look fantastic at times, especially when he goes up and makes those jump passes. But I think some of that's luck. It seems like he goes up in the air, goes to make the pass, and then it's like, oh, is there someone there or not? He makes the decision to make the pass before seeing who's open. So, yeah, I think having Fultz back should be a massive help just from a playmaking standpoint. And Suggs, he's going to start scoring soon. We saw how good a scorer he was in college level, so it's just going to take time. And is like people saying he's struggling. He's only struggling on the offensive end. Defensively, he's been one of the best guards in the league. Very good. I think I saw a stat that he was in the top 15 in the league in terms of plus minus defensively. So when he's on the court, it's fantastic. It's when he comes off the court and his bench going, that's when we start struggling defensively, and they just pile on the points, and then our lack of scoring catches up with us. And by the time the starting unit's back in, we're down 20, 30 points.
Yeah. And that starting unit is still producing at a high level. I think I saw Chris tweet out about maybe an hour or two ago that I think it was the starting 5s that have played at least 75 minutes, or the Magic's 5 of Suggs, Cole Anthony, Wagner, Wendell and Mo are third in terms of their net rating, I think. So, yeah, they're still producing on a high level.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Isaac comes back. I'm sure he's going to start off the bench, but when he gets healthy enough to be in the starter role, who do you take out? Do do you shift Wendell to the starting 5, or do you leave Bamber in and bring Wendell off the bench? I think you probably have Wendell start at the 5 and Bamber off the bench, but it's going to be a tough decision, and you don't really want to break up that lineup when they're doing so well.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, I guess the bench is going to benefit, isn't it? The bench at the moment, I think, is one of the worst benches in the whole league. So getting a bit more firepower there will only benefit us.
Well, if we can get
most of the bench's issues are entirely down to we're just not getting anything out of as veterans. Harris and Ross have struggled immensely all year, and they're playing all the bench minutes. So when you've got, I think Harris is ranked the worst player in the league right now in terms of plus minus. So when they're not contributing like that, it doesn't matter how good the other 3 are. If you've got 2 players in there that are among the worst in the league, you're never going to have a positive lineup with them.
Yep, absolutely. So the Magic then started a 5-game road trip, traveling to Atlanta, who were in a bit of a slump themselves. Orlando had a better night shooting the ball, but when the Magic are trying to go toe-to-toe with the Hawks offensively, it didn't really work, and the Magic struggled on the defensive end, something we haven't really seen much over the last few games. Atlanta scored 30+ in all 4 quarters, and the Magic went on to lose 129-111. This game was the first time I tweeted, airing a slight bit of frustration to say that watching the second half was one of those games where you're like, my enthusiasm gets sucked out a little bit watching that second half, just because I thought they played pretty well in the first half, and when they're shooting the ball much better and you're hanging around in the game, they just could never get stops, could they, in that second half to make a game of it down the stretch. So, guys, what did you think, Paul?
We just couldn't contain them in the paint, could we? John Collins and Clint Capella just had their way. We got bullied there. Trae Young just consistently stormed his way through the defense to get to the basket. Was it 23 points, 24 points, something like that he went for?
23 on 9, 21 shoot.
Yeah. It was just a difficult watch again. I got your frustration, mate, entirely, because that second half we're outscored by 14 points, I think. We just didn't seem to play to our strengths. Yeah. That was the game where Wendell had a really good start, and then all of a sudden we just stopped feeding him the ball. I think he had another 3 shots the entire game, having had a really, really good start. He couldn't miss. And it just made no sense why we weren't giving him opportunities. The positives, Cole, again, leading the way. Career high in assists that night. We also had good performance from Franz, again, 19 points. And I think this was one of the first ones that we actually started to see a little bit more from Terence Ross. He weighed in with 19 points as well. So there were some minor positives, but overall it was just a one to put in the history books and move on. I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy at all.
I didn't think it was too bad. Oh, go on, you go.
Really?
No. Go on, let Luke go first.
Go on, Luke.
I think the issue was we were missing Jalen Suggs. So, he's not been contributing offensively, but defensively he's been great. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when he got taken out, he was out injured. When he's not playing, then we get torched. We just couldn't stop the Hawks all game. I think what happened with Wendell not getting any more shots, we should have set up plays for him, but the Hawks changed the coverage on him. So he went from being wide open on those threes to start the game to they changed the rotations on him, so he wasn't getting those looks anymore. But we should have drawn up plays for him, and we didn't.
Yeah.
The first half we hung with them, but I think the issue we're finding is that every quarter, it seems the last minute we just switch off sometimes and the other team goes on a run. Gallinari did it in this one in the first quarter. I think he hit 2 threes end of the first. They went on a bit of a run just before half time to take something like a 4-point lead or something. And our heads are going to drop. You guys have mentioned Wendell. Yeah, he was 3 of 3 from downtown to start the game. And as Luke mentioned, they changed the coverage on him. But you'd like to give him the opportunity, seeing he's in the zone, just to try and continue. You feed the hot guy, don't you? But defensively, the job I thought they did on Trae Young, without Jalen Suggs, restricting him to 9 of 21 shooting, I thought he was getting quite frustrated. John Collins annoyed me. I thought he got calls all over the place when potentially he shouldn't have. He was very aggressive, and that's the kind of hard-nosed player he is. But I didn't think the officiating was up to scratch in that game. And to lose by 18, we're a young team, missing Jalen Suggs. We're still missing, as we know, the others. On the road, I didn't think it was a bad performance, so I wasn't as disheartened as what you boys are.
I think it's easy to forget that because they've been struggling, that they were the Eastern Conference finalists last year, losing to the eventual champions. But I'm not. When I say I was disappointed, I wasn't happy. It wasn't that the team weren't giving effort. It wasn't that we weren't creating opportunities. It was just that I wasn't happy in watching the game. There was a frustration as a fan at nothing went our way. You've made reference to some of the calls, which I sat here. Mrs. Bacon was telling me to stop swearing at the telly because it was getting a little bit aggressive at certain points. We'll leave it at that. Go
on, tell us more.
It's a family show, mate. Family show. And we were as we're putting shots up, they weren't. You were getting those crappy rolling round, defying gravity and coming back out. It was, and that's where I was disappointed and annoyed, and found it frustrating to watch, as opposed to it being criticism of the team for a lack of effort or anything of that nature.
One criticism I do have of the team is, why was RJ Hampton not getting the minutes? Suggs is out, and yet he played 14, 15, trivial amount of minutes. Point. Whereas Gary Harris is out there for 30 minutes.
It's mad.
It's
frustrating.
I think that's a very fair point.
And I heard Philip say this on Locked On Magic earlier in the week. When the Magic are scoring 111 points, you have to be winning those amount of games when you're having nights like that offensively. But okay, on to Bing Bong, on to the Knicks game. So the Magic snapped a 3-game losing streak with their second win over the New York Knicks at the Garden this season. The Magic led by 5 heading into the fourth quarter. Clutch plays down the stretch, including a big Terrence Ross steal and a dunk, a huge Franz Wagner dunk and an and one. That had everybody off our feet, and I'm sure that had all of us excited watching that back. And then we had the big Jalen Suggs steal off of the Derrick Rose pass, and that led to the alley-oop to basically ice the game with the Wendell Carter dunk right at the end. So the Magic won 104-98 to improve to 4-11 on the season. So guys, come on then. We got to enjoy these moments because they might not happen very often. Come on then, Luke. You would have watched it live, I would have thought.
I did watch it live, but like I said, pre-recording, I was watching it at the bar and I had 10 pints, so a little bit hazy by the end. I don't know if you guys have been there. I was watching it at Wing House. But yeah, fantastic. Can we play them every week? That's the only way we're going to rack up wins, especially when you look at the schedule coming up. I've not seen many wins in there. It's definitely tough up until the end of the year. So I think we start playing any easier games until January now. But yeah, fantastic. Just the defensive performance was there, right? I mean, we only scored 104 points, but if you keep a team to sub 100, chances are you're probably going to win, and that's exactly what we did.
And you alluded to it in the Hawks game, the fact that we didn't have Jalen Suggs. That was a big part of the reason why we were so good defensively against the Knicks. Guys?
Yep. It's definitely important to us.
His defense was massive. I would argue that was up there with his best games in a Magic uniform. I thought he played really, really well. I'm not too... Luke said this earlier, his scoring's going to come. Jalen's scoring is going to come. He has had a baptism of fire coming into this league. You look at the schedule we've had and the point guards and guards he's gone up against, the teams he's gone up against. He has had a baptism of fire. He's consistently scoring double figures, but his defense is huge. He will get there. He will get there. And apart from that one really awful turnover where he passed from the corner across the arc to try and get it to the centre, which I think, I can't remember who intercepted it. Was it Derrick Rose intercepted it? I think it was.
I think it was Kemba, wasn't it?
Was it Kemba? Might have been. It was. I think it was Kemba. You're right. That was the only point where you looked and thought all night, really? It's. I think as a team they actually limited the turnovers a little bit more. There weren't the live ball turnovers that had been causing us to concede points. I know we still had them, but it didn't feel like it was a consistent problem the way it has done in some of the other games. But that was a team win. They won as a team. You look across the stats, and it's such a consistent set of figures from players. Okay, there's the odd glaring exception who didn't contribute much in the box score, but perhaps their presence was felt on the court. Again, just one thing you didn't mention, mate, that I thought was quite important as well was the Cole Anthony 3 with a minute to go in the second quarter. He turned at point at half time.
It was at the Horn, mate.
Was it at the Horn? I thought
Gave us a 1 point lead.
I thought he'd got a minute to go. I thought he got about a minute to go.
0.2 seconds.
And then his little brother and sister were screaming at him.
Yeah.
At half court. Yeah.
I thought he'd got about a minute to go. There we go. But I thought that was a big moment as well for us, because up to that point, Cole hadn't been playing particularly well. He'd missed. I know he continued to miss, but he'd missed a lot of shots at that point. His 3-point shooting was not good all night, but that just seemed to give him a little bit of a spark to get on the offensive end as well.
Yeah,
I thought that was quite an important moment for us. But like you say, there were so many scrambling plays where they were diving about and getting their hands into the passing lane, making deflections, and that's what we saw with the Terrence Ross steal for his dunk and the Jalen Suggs steal off Derrick Rose to alley-oop for Wendell at the end. There were so many important plays that typified a team spirit, and they came together last night and worked as a team. You can highlight individual players. Terrence Ross producing 19 points again. That's 2 games running. He's produced 19 points. Mm-hmm. But Franz was a star. Franz was an absolute star. What a monster game he had. And I also thought that Chuma was back towards his best again last night. With Wendell getting into early foul trouble, he played extended minutes and really, really matched up well against Julius Randle. Played him really hard.
Yeah. Well, like you said, Paul, 12 turnovers to the Knicks 18 last night. I've got a couple of questions for you, but before that, Luke, I want to ask you about the zone defense the Magic are playing, because it's something that's been pretty effective for them through the first 14, 15 games of the season. That obviously played a part last night in forcing quite a few turnovers the Knicks were coughing up. So what do you think? What are you seeing from the zone?
I think we're playing zone defense because it's easier for rookie players to follow that, right? You just defend in a zone. You're not switching out on guys as much. You're not given certain tasks. This is your role. You're simplifying it for the rookies as much as possible. So I think I don't think we'll stay with zone defense like for the full duration of this rebuild. As the guys get more experience, we'll probably change that up. But right now, it's just about simplifying it as much as possible for the rookie guys and the second-year guys.
And it's something the Knicks certainly struggled with last night. Yes. 2 players I want to ask you about. Julius Randle, how big was it? How important do you think it was holding him to just 13 and 5 last night? And why does Alec Burks hate the Magic?
Hate that guy. Julius Randle first. So obviously, as the guys have alluded to, we played a great defensive game. Everyone stuck to their tasks. I'm just having a quick look at the box score before we started. He shot 4 of 11, which included 4 of 10 from downtown. So he only actually shot 1 2-point field goal, and he missed it. He also only got to the line 1 time, made 1 of 2. So 4 of 11 shooting, all of them 3-pointers. We know he can shoot it quite well, but that's taken him out of his, he's kind of that bully ball kind of type, isn't he? And we saw that in the first 2 times we've played him. So to really do that to the Knicks, I thought it took New York out of its way of playing. And towards the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, they were heaving a lot. And they got lucky with Alec Burks a couple of times. But Julius Randle didn't take a shot for the whole last quarter. And his last field goal attempt was 5:29 of the third. Now, if he's your superstar go-to guy, you need to feed him. Regardless of how he's playing, he needs to be the instigator of how the offense works. And I had great delight in listening to Stephen A. Smith, who I like a lot. But he this morning or last night was saying the problem with the Knicks at the moment, they haven't got a first option. They haven't got a second option. They've basically got a bunch of third and fourth options on the team. And the offensive game plan that Coach Thibodeau, it just isn't working. But to be honest, we've got to credit ourselves. As guys have mentioned, Jalen Suggs 3 steals, Bamba 2 blocks, Terrence Ross 2 steals, and Akiki, Wendell, and Wagner doing a superb job on these Knicks. So, very happy with the performance and the way we kept Julius Randle in check. But just something on what Paul said about Cole Anthony. What I like about Cole is, whilst he was struggling, he was still shooting the ball. Yeah. And that's what you want, because don't let a couple of missed shots just affect your game. Keep shooting it. He's a quality scorer, and they will start dropping. But he was affecting the box score. I spoke to Mikey earlier, and he get 10 rebounds again, some 7-8 assists. So he's getting involved in different ways. But playing these Knicks is a bit like Cardiff playing Leeds, isn't it, Paul? I went down the rabbit hole, mate.
He has.
Hey, we're not going there. We're not talking about that.
We had 17-game unbeaten run, Cardiff City against Leeds United between 1984 and 2015. Then you won a couple, and now we're on a 5-game unbeaten run between 2017 and 2020. And there was a couple of wins in there. So whilst we're in the championship,
I have always said that Cardiff are one of those teams that it doesn't matter what league we are in, it doesn't matter what league you are in. If ever we draw you in the FA Cup or anything else, it's like, well, that's the end of us done then. That's it. We've got fourth round free. We're not. I've got fourth round weekend free. yeah. Right. I described last night as New York couldn't breach the paint because of our swarming and disciplined defence, and they put up a lot more threes than they are. They do shoot the three, and they normally shoot the three well. but they put up a lot more than they average. And the difference with a lot of those was that we actually defended the three well. A lot of those shots were contested, or we'd cause them to rush the shot at the end of the shot clock because it was just a Hail Mary hoping that something came from a lost possession because we took them out of the comfort zone. It was really, really good defensive performance last night.
The Knicks in general just struggle with athletic guards. Yeah, the Knicks, they just struggle against athletic guards. That's what happens. Yeah. I mean, they had to take Fournier out. They had to take Kemba out. When you look at where Randle was shooting, he had nothing in the paint. It was all 3-point shots, which was surprising because usually our guys struggle in the paint against guys like that. Yeah. But yeah, they kept him, they made him take those 3-point shots, and he wasn't getting them.
Look, I was just going to say, Evan Fournier 5 points, mate. We made him a non-entity in the game.
Yeah,
I was just about to say exactly the same. What are your thoughts on Fournier? You're only playing 21 minutes and 5 points. So,
shut him out.
A bit of money there, haven't they?
He had nothing. He had nothing last night. And that's not a criticism of him because I do still think he got a hard time from Magic fans. And I will still say that we asked him to do more than he's capable of and put him out of his comfortable position. But last night we played him off the court, literally played him off the court because he, as you've just said, G, what was it, 21 minutes?
Yeah.
And there was nothing obvious injury-wise or anything like that I saw, or any updates around it.
I don't think he wasn't in the fourth quarter whatsoever, right? Or for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, David and Jeff said it, didn't they, during the broadcast? When the Knicks win games, he's averaging 15. When they're losing games, he's averaging, was it 9 or less?
9.
And he's kind of a barometer for when they're playing well, I guess. So, yeah, bing bong. We can enjoy that one.
Are you going to do ref rant on this game, Mikey?
Yeah, go on there, G. Let's have our weekly ref rant then. Go on.
We need to get a jingle for it, you know.
Play your little bing bong, G.
Well, hang on. No, my phone's put away now. In fairness, it's not just me who thinks this for last night, is it? Because some of the calls were absolute.
I seem to think that I sent one or two messages when we were watching it this morning.
Yeah. That timeout on that loose ball, there's no way the Knicks had possession, for starters. Cole getting hacked left, right and centre. Then there was another play. He was being literally... Obi Toppin had a one-arm extension on him on an offensive rebound. Did you see that one? Yeah. The review on the Wagner flagrant. Sorry? He was... Oh, jeez.
What about the Atlanta game?
Okay, I'm going to... Did you think that Randle actually jumped into him? There was an element of Randle jumping into Franz.
No, I'm not sure.
Sure, I don't even know. I was just flabbergasted by it all, to be honest with you, mate.
Mate, for me, the worst call was the one that got Wendell his third foul.
Yeah,
that was the worst call of the night.
That's on the list as well.
You know, he got hit on the way to the basket twice. He didn't get a call. He was fouled on the way to the basket twice, and then perhaps there was a little foul on the way to recover the rebound by Wendell, but you know what? That was the worst one by far. I can understand.
But you call the first foul,
frustration. Yeah, I can understand the frustration that he's showing because he seems to be getting one or two poor calls made against him. And I think you said, Mikey, when we were talking yesterday, Franz as well. He's seems to get one or two.
Every game he seems to get hacked and nothing gets called. Luke, do you want to join in?
I was going to say, is that just us, Luke?
No, it's always been a problem with the Magic because you earn the ref calls right through good play, and rookie guys never get they don't get calls. You don't get calls until you get to that superstar level, and I don't know if it's because refs are intimidated by the more veteran guys, but it just always happens. Young teams don't get the calls until they start winning games and get the respect from the referee, and we've always had that issue because we haven't been a winning team very often.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You can also always see Cole Anthony's always in the referee's ear, which I like. And I think eventually, he's the one that might get us over. And we might start getting calls. He might start getting calls. A bit more respect.
His free throw rate is pretty high, I think, at least compared to the rest of the team. So, yeah, I agree with that. He's going to start getting calls.
80%, isn't he?
Yeah, sorry, I meant how many he gets a game. I think he gets 5 or 6 game or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah, cool. So ref rant done. Bing bong. Right.
Bing bong.
That's gonna move us on to each segment now for the rest of the episode. So Luke, so obviously you told us about your Magic fandom. So you've been a fan since 2012. So tell us, who's your favourite player? Who's your favourite current player? Who's your favourite all-time Magic player? Maybe it's just in the time you've been following the team. Have you got any favourite memories?
So my favourite player right now he's kind of worked his way out of being my favourite player. It was Jonathan Isaac, but the off the court stuff is really off-putting for me. So right now my favourite player is probably Cole Anthony. Favourite moment, probably the DJ Augustine 3-pointer to win the playoff game. That was crazy when that happened. So and that was the first time I got to experience the playoffs too. So that was absolutely fantastic. What was the other question?
And what's your favourite memory? I'm guessing it ties in with the same thing. Where were you for that game one? Were you on? Was it Wall Street?
Wall Street. Yeah, I was on Wall Street. Yeah.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't win any of the home games. I was at the home games in the arena, but we just didn't win any of those. I honestly thought we had a chance after that win, and then I'm like, once we got them back on home court, I'm like, oh, maybe if we can split this at home. But obviously, then they just steamrolled us the rest of the way.
Game 3 was good. Game 3 was competitive.
Yeah,
we were close there. We came back really well in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, but the other 3 games were not so much.
Oh God, yeah, Game 4 when we were there, the atmosphere just died in the building very, very quickly. That was it. You knew where that was going. In the first quarter, you knew exactly what we were going to get that night.
Yeah, I was kind of glad that they then went on to win it all because it didn't make me feel as bad about us losing. But if they'd gone out the next round, I'd have been pretty frustrated. But I do wonder if we could have actually beaten any of the other teams in the playoffs and we just got unlucky and running into the Raptors that year.
Luke, I was going to ask you about Terence Ross. In the last 3 games, 3 of the last 4 games, he's hit double figures, 17 and 19, 2 19s, and the other game was a 7. We've seen him struggle for most of the season, apart from the first 3 games where he had good scoring games. What are you seeing from him that's a little bit different, that's perhaps giving you a little bit more hope with him at the moment?
His shots are just going down. There was a stretch where he just didn't seem to want to shoot threes anymore. He was just taking long 2s, but now his shots are actually falling. He's shooting 3s again. I don't want to say it's effort related because I really love Ross, but sometimes he's looked pretty half-hearted out there this season. So I don't know if it's just because he's having to play with rookies. He knows that this is a rebuilding year, and it's well, I really want to go all out in a team that's ultimately going to lose, and maybe he thinks he's going to be gone by trade deadline. Don't know if that plays into it, but we definitely need more contribution from him, and he's done it. But we need that every game. We need him to be getting 14, 15 points every game. He's also been really lacking on defense this year. Usually he's never been a fantastic defender, but he always put in the effort. And this year I'm not really seeing that from him. He just doesn't, it's just everything's half-hearted. But hopefully he turns that around and keeps up his current run of form. Cool.
So Luke, let's talk rotation and what we're actually seeing out there. We've touched upon this a little bit earlier. RJ Hampton, I think we all feel should get a bit more playing time. Perhaps maybe Gary Harris a little bit less. what are your thoughts on how that rotation should be playing? Should we play Gary Harris at all, or should he just be like Robin Lopez is?
I mean, ideally, I would take him out of the rotation. I'd give Hampton more minutes and then split his additional minutes across Suggs and Anthony. What I'd really like us to do is just try play RJ Hampton at the small forward just to see if he can or not. I mean, it's already a rebuilding year. We're already losing games. We've got nothing to lose by throwing it out and see if it works. He's apparently grown over the off season, so there's no harm in trying it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. At least then we know for when we're actually trying to win games. So I really don't understand why we're playing Harris as much as we are. It's not even like we're building trade value because we're putting him out there. He's playing awful. He's zero trade value right now. Basically, his only value to us is by trade deadline. He's got that 20 million expiring contract. So if we need it to match salaries, he's going to be a good match. But if he's still on the team after trade deadline, I think he's going to be bought out.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how happy are you with Mo Bamba's progress this year? What have you liked and what do you want to see more out of Mo?
I really liked everything. I honestly unexpected because I didn't think he'd play this well. Just from the previous years we'd seen him play, I thought he'd struggle, but he's playing fantastically. His 3-point shooting is great. Obviously, he gets out-muscled a lot under the basket because of his frame, but I don't think he can really put the additional weight on because his strength is his mobility, and if he puts on additional weight, he's going to lose that mobility. So I think he just needs to put on a little bit of muscle, but doesn't need to pile it on. Kind of like how obviously he's not Shaquille O'Neal, but how Shaq was slim for us and then piled on weight elsewhere. He doesn't need to do anything drastic like that. I think it's just going to come with playing time. He hasn't played a whole lot, so he's got to get better as he plays. Defensively, he doesn't have the same feel for the game as, say, like Isaac or Wagner, so he just needs the minutes to improve defensively. But he's certainly getting there. He's a lot better than I expected this year, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when he hits restricted free agency, because we've paid Wendell. Can we pay him the same? I don't think he's going to get the same contract as Wendell. I think Wendell's a better player than him now, so is he going to walk to... Well, he doesn't get the option to walk because we have his rights, but if he gets an offer for 10 to 15 million, are we going to match it when he's going to be coming off the bench? I just don't know. I think he's starter level, but I just don't know if that's going to be for us full time. I'd like to see us get him to like maybe a 3-year, 30 million contract, 35 million, something like that. But obviously he's restricted, so it's whatever the market offers him. And stretch fives who can hit 3-pointers at 40%, someone's going to pay money for them. There's always a rotation spot for a centre that can hit 40% from three.
You've already kind of half answered. My next question is going to be, how much would you pay for him? So how much would you be happy to bring him back for? Or, what's the sum you'd let him go?
Anything over sort of 10 to 12 million that's kind of the top of the range for me, because I just don't think you can have 30 million tied up in centres if they're not all-star level. And, we're already Wendell Carter Jr.'s contract is fantastic, but if we're having to pay more similar money, then that's a lot of money tied up in centres who there's only so many minutes to go around. So I don't know, somewhere around the mid-level exception, can get him between 10 million over 3 years. That'd be great. So 9-10 million per year over 3 years is what I just want to pay him.
Yeah, I think I'd push it out to 15-16, me. I think he's great. Stretch 4-5, and he can play defense. He just needs a bit more of a motor, doesn't he? And being with Cole Anthony should give you that. It's his mate. There we go. So I'd like to see a sweet team.
Bamba's really going to benefit from Fultz being back, because his issues in previous seasons were he was always playing with backup point guards, so he didn't have a playmaker, Obviously, Cole helps because of the chemistry there, but when Fultz is on the court, he's going to see a lot more lobs. He's going to get more openings, I think. So I think his point scoring will improve a lot when Fultz is back. And Suggs is obviously going to benefit a lot from Fultz being back because it'll take some of the playmaking duties away from him, and he can focus on the things that he's better at rather than just the place where he's struggling right now. But yeah, I guess we'll see. We'll see if he can keep up this play for the full year, if he improves. Or honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he's traded at the deadline. If he keeps up this play and a deal comes in, he's going to be one of the players that if we have to trade one of the young guys, he's probably one of the ones that is going to be on the block just because we've paid Wendell already.
Do you think Jonathan coming back, touch wood, healthy, and he puts his injuries behind him, do you think that makes Mo more expendable as well?
Yes, but only if we show willingness to play Isaac at the 5, because really it's because Wendell can play the 4, you can still get more 25, 30 minutes a game if Isaac's back. I think when Isaac comes back, the person who's going to possibly lose minutes it's going to be probably Harris, because you'll shift Brands more to the 3 spot. Probably Chuma. I don't think Chuma will get as many minutes as he is now once Isaac's back. Wendell might lose a couple, but he's playing like 32 now. He'll probably get scaled back to like 27, 28. Mo will probably lose a few minutes, but he's still going to get 25 plus minutes, I think.
So how soon do you think we see J.I. and Markel?
They should be playing now, man. With Fultz, I understand it, right? So Fultz is like 9 to 11 months. He's on the cusp of it. It's the J.I. one that's frustrating because right now we're at 16 months since surgery. It's unprecedented. Even with a setback, he still should be back by now. So there's definitely something they're not telling us. I think from what Isaac said previously, he's expecting about Christmas, which would put us at like 17, 18 months, which is just crazy. Unless they come out and say, some science model says if you get X amount of recovery from this injury, then it helps prevent reoccurrence. And so we're just taking the safest possible route. But it's just the lack of information from the front office. There's just no timelines ever. We just need information. If they just tell us, okay, this is what's going on, we can accept that. But they just don't give us the information. It's the most frustrating part of our front office, the lack of information. But I think it's to protect the players, just in case they do have a setback. But at this point, when it's been that long, you have to tell us something. You just have to.
I had this conversation with a couple of people on Twitter yesterday, I think it was, about the lack of information. And I feel like John Hammond coming out in the off season and saying that the front office hoped that Markel would be back ready for the beginning of the season. I think that put a bit more pressure on the whole situation. And then when you consider there was a 5-month gap between the two of them tearing their ACL, I think that sort of adds to the frustration, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, look, Klay Thompson's coming back. Klay Thompson tore his ACL, tore his Achilles, and he still might be back before Jonathan Isaac. And a torn Achilles is a way worse injury than an ACL. That's potentially career-ending, unless you're Kevin Durant and just go on to be even better after getting a torn Achilles. But yeah, I just wish they'd tell us something.
I don't know about you. I kind of liked the fact that they keep everything hush-hush. It's like the trades.
Because
it'll happen when it happens, and then I prefer it. Nobody knows. You don't get a Woj bomb or Shams saying this, that, and the other. I don't know. I just prefer it. Hush, hush. Nobody say anything, and it'll happen when it happens. But I get your frustration though. It has been a very long time with J.I.
I think it can be counterproductive though as well, G. In that we've now got this situation where we're all asking, well, why? Why is this? Why is this? Other teams, you don't have to be entirely open about this is the problem, this is where we're at. but you could just give some indication that he's making progress and he is cleared for this. Or there's been a minor setback, but we're hoping that it's only by 2 or 3 weeks and then we'll be back onto the program. Just something that lets people know that there isn't a bigger problem in the background. And I'm going to say, I think that there is still an element of it's easier for him not to be involved because of the stance on the COVID vaccine than trying to work it out, having him. So I think there's an element of convenience there as well.
Right, because as soon as he comes back, he has to go through the non-vax protocol, whereas now he doesn't have to. And that non-vax protocol is brutal. So I can get why he would try to delay things. But a couple of guys have said to me he just doesn't seem like that type of guy. He wants to be back as soon as possible. So I really hope that isn't playing into it. But when they don't give us any information, people are going to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Hang on. The thing is, on the team's perspective now, right? We want to bring people along. We want to develop players. We don't want him to play 82 games this season. We don't, because we don't want anything to reoccur, do we? No, I know that, but we don't want anything to reoccur, do we? So if it's if he comes back around Christmas time, January, whatever it is, then you've got 3-4 months. He gets some good playing time, builds himself back up. Then he gets a full off season, and then back next year when we know we're not going to be competitive this year. So I kind of get the stance.
Are you saying he's?
I can get the stance, mate. I can understand the stance. Definitely.
But I get the frustration, but I can see why we're doing it.
But at the end of the day, we all want them back healthy without any setbacks when they eventually get back on the court. It's, like I said, it's the lack of information is the most frustrating thing. So, okay, right. So support today's episode and visit Fanatics UK using our affiliate link in the description. Shop officially licensed sports jerseys, merchandise and fan apparel, including the NBA, the NFL, MLB, football and rugby. It's also available with international shipping. So if there's items on the UK site that you can't get in the US, they will ship abroad as well. You can use our discount code MAGICUK10 at the checkout for 10% off your entire order, or you can use one of the discount codes live on the website. Some exclusions may apply. So on to the week ahead and our predictions. So quick looking back at last week, the Magic went 0-3. Gary, Jake, myself and Paul all went 2-1. So we were wrong. And Geraint went 1-2, who you were also wrong. So a little update. Paul and G are 2-2 on the season. And I am carrying the wooden spoon at the moment with 1-3.
Don't worry, I'll take it back from you, pal.
Mate, there's plenty of weeks left.
By the time it's done, you know that wooden spoon is wending its way to Mansfield.
We'll see. There's a long way to go. So we record our next episode on Sunday. Like I said earlier in this show, we were supposed to record on Monday. We're trying to record every sort of week, but we don't record until next Sunday. So instead of covering 6 games, we're just going to cover the 2 on Sunday. Up until then with the Nets and the Bucks. So the Magic play the Nets on Friday, which is a midnight tip-off in the UK, or Saturday, early hours of Saturday morning. And then on Sunday morning, the Magic then travel to Milwaukee for the first of 2 games against the Bucks, which is a 1 a.m. tip-off. So the Brooklyn Nets are currently 11-5. They are 5-3 at home, and they have won 8 out of their last 10 games. And the Milwaukee Bucks are struggling to start the season. They're 7-8. At home, they're 2-4. So that might sway a few predictions in a minute. And they are winners of they've only won 4 of their last 10 games. So the Bucks are struggling at the moment.
They did beat the Lakers, though, so that's good.
Always a good thing.
Yes.
Always. Well, apart from LeBron hasn't been playing lately and he's ruining my fantasy basketball.
Same.
He's the same, Luke.
Yeah.
last week, I think I faced you last week, G, didn't I? And you were tinkering with your team and you just edged me out. But I had Brandon Ingram was injured, Larry Markkinen was injured, and LeBron was out. So I had no chance of beating you last week.
But you got to remember,
a jinx, Mikey. It looks like you're a jinx on players.
What can I say?
I had Markel Fultz injured and Jonathan Isaac injured. So, sorry, mate.
Good stuff. So, guys, predictions for the week. I'll start with Luke. Are you going 2-0?
Against the Nets and the Bucks. I think we're going to go 1-1. I think we might sneak one of them. So 1-1.
I like it.
Do I need to say which one?
Yeah.
I think the Nets. I think we'll beat the Nets. Maybe they'll rest some players or something like that. But yeah, I think beat the Nets and probably lose to the Bucks.
Paul?
I'd like to think that we're finally going to break that run that we've been on against the Bucks. I'm going to go 1-1, and we beat the Bucks.
Like it. I love it, Paul.
Let's get out there. I'm not happy being in a leading position. I'm trying to get myself back down to the one spoon area. At least you come away with something at the end of the season.
This is true. What about you, G? True. What are you going for?
I'm a bit of a realist. 0-2. The Nets had their way with us, and I think the Bucks have got too much for us. So let's keep it short and sweet and 0-2. And let's just hope for a good performance and we put up a good fight.
Yeah, I'm going to go 0-2 as well because I need Paul to join me at the bottom with the wooden spoon. So I've got to be different to you this week. We got to go different.
Yeah, but are we going to go 2-0, boys? Then everyone will remain where they were.
Yeah. I will when we're walking away with a 3-game winning streak
on the road.
In what I call the road trip of death on Magic Moments. I don't know if you noticed.
I didn't. No,
you didn't. You should read it. You should read it, mate.
That's why I get so many wrong. Is that where I'm going wrong? I don't read them. Hey, yeah, no, I think 0-2. We've got our win for like a week or two, so I've got to go with G on this one. 0-2 this week. So okay, bing bong. That wraps up this week's episode. Luke, thank you very much, mate, for taking the time and joining us. We really appreciate you coming on. Hope you had a good time, mate.
Yeah, I definitely did. And ask me on any time.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So for those who aren't following you, where can people follow you on Twitter, Luke?
It's just straight up my name. So at Luke Jalil, which is Jalil. Excellent.
Good man. Well, thank you as always for watching and listening. Like I said, we'll be recording again on Sunday night to wrap up the recap the Bucks and the Nets games. For the latest news, make sure you visit our website, orlandomagicuk.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, all at Orlando Magic UK. Subscribe to the podcast, leave us your comments and any questions you might want us to ask on a future episode. And from Geraint, Paul, and me, until next week, go Magic.